kind of crazy. So we invited some of our closest pals to share in this moment with us. And here, um, we're going to have an epic conversation on Web3 social and how the landscape is evolving, right? So throughout this party, throughout this hour, we're going to try to keep it to an hour. But throughout this hour, we're going to have Juan, the founder of Protocol Labs, which includes projects like IPFS and Filecoin. We're going to have Ryan. Ryan is already here with us, actually, and he is the co-founder of CyberConnect. We have Eric. Eric is the co-founder of Live Peer. We have Shane. He's the co-founder of XMTP, which that's pretty exciting because they actually announced a partnership launch with Lens and Coinbase today. So it's been like big news all over Twitter. I don't know if you all seen it trending, but it's been trending on my For You like all day. So congratulations to Shane for sure. We have Mo. Mo's already here. He is the founder of Butterfly. And we have to congratulate Mo because he launched Butterfly Spaces. I can't even talk right now. I'm so excited. He launched Butterfly Spaces like a couple of days ago, and people are loving it. Like, I tuned into a Spaces maybe like 2 days ago, and it was awesome. It was so good. So, congratulations to Mo. We have Amy, the head of growth at Rove. We have Ali, Community and Growth Manager at Favor. We have Abi, the head of marketing at CyberConnect. We have Bobby, the head of growth at D Labs. We have Parang, the growth at Gum. We have Chandrish, the growth at Shardium. We have Emma, she's the CEO of Long Hash Ventures. And last but not least, we have Gabrielle, the founder of Growth Paper Capital. Now, that is a stacked, insane list of guests. And like, I feel so honored to have you all here with us today. So thank you for just taking the time to just share your experience, share your advice, share your thoughts on this thing we call social media, a decentralized and all. So I think the perfect way to sort of kick off this conversation is with the splashiest turn of events in recent social news. So I'm going to sort of set the tone of what happened in case anyone here didn't catch it. And then I'll ask my question. So, roughly a week ago, Twitter started rate limiting users unexpectedly, causing widespread outages and mainstream conversations demanding decentralized solutions from users seeking new platforms. From Blue Sky to Tumblr, pretty much every social media platform started trending, because we couldn't use our Twitter. Like, we were having difficulties, and I don't know if any of you experienced this, but I know me personally, I could not use my Twitter. I just kept getting like, "You've been rate limited. You've been rate limited." I'm like, "What does that even mean?" Like, what is this term? What is going on, Elon? So yeah, so like all other social media platforms started trending. Others started their own social networks. I know Spill was like one that was coming up out of nowhere. It was quite a few other ones. And then, I feel like Mark Zuckerberg came in with like a two-piece combo and launched Threads, which was crazy because in 5 days, Threads grew to more than 100 million users. Like, what? They're calling that the highest growth rate for any social media app, period. Like, that has never happened. And so, of course, I'm like, well, what is going on? Let me sort of feel the vibe myself. So I personally joined Threads to see if the hype was real. And there were two things that I noticed. And number one, the first thing I noticed was that the engagement is through the roof. Like, it is crazy. Like, I don't know how to explain it if you haven't checked out Threads yet, but it's highly engaging. The second thing I noticed is that users' follower account transferred from their Instagram to their Threads. So it's users on there that already have huge followings on Threads. And I was like, what? This is crazy. So I see why the hype is there. I see why everyone is excited. I see why they got 100 million users in 5 days. Like, that is nuts. That is truly nuts. And so, my question to you all today on this panel, and maybe we can start off with like Shane or Ryan, but my question here is, as founders within decentralized social storage and messaging, how do you capitalize off this moment? And do you champion mainstream steps like the Fediverse, ActivityPub, threads, etc.? Or do you see these as long-term steps in the wrong direction? So yeah, let's sort of get into it. I'll start with you, Shane Matt. I would love to hear your thoughts.
I think they're just two trains that end up converging down the road. So it's really cool to see Threads want to adopt ActivityPub. I think there's an opportunity actually for decentralized protocols to move that direction as well. If I think about what we're doing, I've already been talking to some of those teams, and I would love to see a decentralized DM layer be integrated into what Threads, or even move even further out, what Instagram or even iMessage, WhatsApp, etc. You can imagine in the future that a more secure, interoperable communication layer that starts in Web3, where we're at today, could replace SMS, so that you could have a black bubble, not a green bubble, that is actually just more secure, but also is tied to an underlying address that allows you to own digital things like a wallet address. And I think these two trains are going to converge, and how it plays out, TBD. But right now, it's really cool to see that these centralized platforms are opening up and thinking about global standards, centralization, and how to adopt them. And I think we need to think about how to make it easy for these two different like application layers to come together.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't agree more. And what actually prompted me to ask if you all thought that this was a step wrong direction is because once you start getting into their terms of service, like for Blue Sky or Mastodon or whatever, it gets real sticky. Like they can see your private messages. They can delete you from the app without giving you any sort of warning or whatever, but you cannot delete your own personal account. So it's like part of me feels like this is really cool, obviously because it has the masses talking, right? This is the mainstream conversation, which is something we've been wanting in decentralized social for a minute. But then once you start getting into the, like I said, like the terms of service and things like that, it's kind of like, is this really the right thing? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. Yeah, I just sort of wanted to get your thoughts on that. So thank you for sharing, Shane Mac. Oh, what happened to? I also wanted to hear Ryan's perspective, but I think we may be missing Ryan.
Yeah, I think in the meanwhile, I'll just thank you so much, everyone joining. I think I have Gabe here, Eric, Shane has already spoken here, but I have a lot of people who I wanted to ask a lot of questions here. I think I'll just start off with because this is very dear to me, is what Mo has actually built using Butterfly. So Mo has actually built. He's the sole builder, founder, and has built a complete app, and has Butterfly Spaces integrated into it. So I'll just want to call Mo on the stage. I just want to hear his thoughts on what is exactly Butterfly doing, and how it's basically coming in the realm of Web3 social, and how also why did you think about integrating audio into your own product in general, and yeah, what's your thinking on those lines? Would love to hear your thoughts.
Hi, how's it going? Can you guys hear me?
Oh yes, can you hear well?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me here. So Butterfly, for those who don't know, is a decentralized social explorer built on Lens protocol. So it's basically like similar to Twitter and Instagram, in that it allows you to follow others on Lens protocol and see the content they post, and interact with them, communicate with them. And it also integrates XMTP for messaging, for decentralized and encrypted messaging. And recently, we also integrated Huddle for audio spaces, as mentioned. So I'm really excited actually to work on Butterfly and on Lens protocol, because this is very related to the previous question with ActivityPub and where that goes. I'm a very strong believer that the social graph has to be like maximally decentralized. So the way I see it is the social graph has to be, and like in my opinion, an Ethereum based network is the way to go, because of the composability and the just how strong the network effects are. So from that perspective, Lens protocol was the obvious protocol to build on. So my goal is basically to build on Lens protocol and offer a comparable or even better experience than Web2 social networks like Twitter and Instagram. So that was my goal. And regarding the audio spaces, audio spaces are super popular on Twitter, and like even in the Lens community, a lot of times, people do all of their communication and posting on Lens, but whenever we want to have, like an audio space, we always have to go to Twitter, So I saw that pain and, in the community and everyone asking for spaces and waiting for it to come. So I decided to like really focus on that and prioritize that. So that's why I am happy to be the first mobile app that integrates Huddle and launched it.
Yeah, one great thing which I saw actually in Butterfly Spaces of which Mo has built is that you can log in via all of these social graphs and DIDs in general, but you can also log in as a Web2, generally just without logging in as well. So I think Mo, just quickly wanted to hear your thoughts as well, that why did you also think about that, that not even having a sign-in and just directly for anyone to join? What was your thought process behind that? Would love to understand that, because this is something which we also at Huddle has also thought about, that not having a sign-in, like not forcing a sign-in with people, but actually having that as an optionality, because then you can use your NFT as an avatar. You can store those over IPFS and Filecoin and do all those interesting stuffs which you cannot do just if you don't log in via your own wallets in general.
Yeah. So the way I see it is, Web3 already has a lot of friction. You know what I mean? So to provide a good user experience, or if you want people to try out these new experiences, you want to minimize the friction as much as possible. So when I built the spaces specifically, I specifically wanted to make sure that like having a Lens profile is not a requirement. So you can actually create a space and host and join spaces without having a Lens protocol at all. You can just sign in with your wallet address and create a space. And to join as a listener, you can even join without signing in at all. So like anyone can just download the app and just listen to a space. So you don't even have to have a wallet or anything. That was important to me because this is all very new and it's super early. So there might be a lot of people who are curious or who want to explore the content, or want to tune into these spaces, but maybe they're not familiar with wallets, or it's a lot of hassle for them, so they just don't feel like going through all that pain. So opening all these doors for them and making it as easy as for people to join, even if they can't do everything, I think it's very important. So for me, I want to take down all these walls as much as possible, like no sign-in requirements, no wait lists, no invite codes, none of that stuff. That's my philosophy.
Makes a lot of sense, Mo. I think this is the right way to go, and this is something which we also at Huddle are also trying to incorporate, and seeing some very good conversions from people who were not a wallet user to actually becoming wallet user. And I think since we are on this point, I just wanted to also invite Favor Ali also, because Ali is also Favor has been building and has been doing rounds in Web3 social labs for a very long time now. So congratulations on that. I think you have built a very good brand, and I think your daily active user base is also very strong. So would love to understand more about Favor. I think the audience is here, plus also how you are also thinking about integrating audios, and what do you think about the stickiness of that?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for invitation, and kudos to the whole team. It's very amazing experience, and it's nice to see finally we don't need the Twitter space. It feels better, to be honest. So, and yeah, for Favor side, but the main idea of the Favor is, as Mo a little bit mentioned a little bit, that there are some hustles for that, and yeah, we see that hustle, and we should fix that by approaching as like a Web 2.5. As you see, there are so many problems on Web3 onboarding process. When you say that a random user, a random citizen, a random one, let's download the MetaMask and don't forget your seed phrase, they will never do that. So it's a real challenging in here. So how we can bring the mass adoption with these kind of a challenge. So it's impossible. So okay, Web 2 is shit, but we can't say I will never use Web 2 tools. It's impossible. Let's close our Twitter now. Well, why we don't do that? So it's impossible. So we have to accept the current situation, and we want to change that. So, but we can't say we can't use the Web 2 idea now. So there will be a transformation, but how we can make it success. So by just checking the Web2 adoption, how it happened. So it's easy. If you want to onboard the user easily, so okay, let's check the Web2 application, what they are doing. So okay, easy onboarding with mail, sign with mail. So it's easy. So there's no challenge on that. So because just one click, sign via Google Mail, sign via Apple ID, sign via Facebook. It doesn't matter. So what they wanna do, and then after that, if they wanna be on Web3, if they wanna on Lens ecosystem, if they wanna on CyberConnect ecosystem, they can keep going, continue their process Web3 journey. But in the first step, in the I believe that social being this is a key of the mass adoption, because most of the people is not familiar with the crypto and other stuff. And I don't think so. Most of the people will never use a lending or borrowing system. It's a unique system for unique people. So, but when we check the numbers, just 6 billion social media users. And when we check the numbers, 5 million unique DeFi vault address, active vault address. So, okay, what is next? Okay, we can scale as much 1000x with social. And we have to fix these challenges to make it success. And first rule of the in the Web3, it's just saying, okay, there are some problems, and we are facing all problems. For example, in here, if we're talking about Lens protocol, now they opened the invitation, and before that there are limited account. It was a limited. It's on the beta version, but how we can scale with the solutions on Web3? It's impossible. We need a gate. We need a new gate for Web2 guys. We can say, if you are a Web2 guy, okay, let's just stay at there. You will not never jump this ecosystem. As a favor, TLDR, we are just trying to fix that. And for your last questions, and as a favor, as a space on favor, now we are discussing on the behind what we can do, what we can't do, and it's really nice to see on the Butterfly. I experienced that. Kudos to whole Butterfly team and Mo. It was a very smooth experience. I just joined with the Stani. So thanks. Congratulations all the teams. It was a nice. And for favor, I'm pretty sure we will discuss more on the behind, I can say.
Awesome. That's amazing. And definitely amazing. By the way, Sachin here, currently handling business development for Huddle. Previously, I worked in the Cosmos ecosystem, and definitely like why Huddle, I think I got exposure to the largest decentralized social media development that's happening, and amazing applications being built like Favor, like Butterfly. But like I had a question, and this question is more towards that question I had personally for quite some time, even before learning more about the decentralized social media. Is like and we see that we have multiple decentralized social media protocols that are coming live, like Ad Protocol, Farcaster, Lens, Mastodon, Noster, etc. And the idea behind them is that we'll have one singular digital identity, and we'll be building social media dApps in top of those social media protocols. But let's say 10 years from now, if we have around 20 such decentralized social media protocols, and we have 20 such decentralized identities all across, how do you think like we'll be able do you think like we'll be coming back full circle where we are right now, managing like 20 decentralized identities? uh, I have a follow question on this, but before that, Yuan, would love your thoughts on this. Was I audible, Ayush?
Yeah, you were audible. I think Juan is on mute. I think in the meanwhile, Juan comes on board. I think I had a follow-up question on what Sachin only asked. What this was question more towards Eric. I think more towards the Life Peers toolkit. I think Eric, it's been a while since LifePeer has been building the LifePeer toolkit itself, which in itself is powering a lot of creator-based apps. just wanted to understand from you the thesis behind the life care toolkit in general, and what do you think in future, and how does it basically grow the Web3 social in general?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good to be here and see some familiar faces, and a lot of applications that are already using live PR in this room. And so, talking about the token, right? Like we designed the live PR token, 6 years ago at this point. And when it was first created, it was a utility token that was meant to incentivize the existence of a network of infrastructure providers for building this decentralized video streaming infrastructure network, right? So it was really about creating, having the token represents kind of skin in the game. We have this staking mechanism that allows people to have value on the line. So if someone cheats, then they risk losing their value, right? So in that way, it's not too dissimilar to the value for Ethereum in the Ethereum proof of stake mechanism, or Cosmos, or any of these tokens. And over time, I think we've learned a lot of lessons. One really interesting thing about this is that like the token gained more usefulness over the last 6 years, right? So at the very beginning, it was just to incentivize the network, but because it's valuable, the community and the ecosystem kind of use that in unexpected and really interesting and creative ways. For example, one of the things that we did in the very early days of the Live Peer network is that we wanted to set aside some resources for funding public goods in the Live Peer ecosystem, and we didn't want to carve out a pool of tokens. Because we wanted to find a fair distribution mechanism in when we were at the Genesis time, right? And I think that's one of the most important things you can do as a crypto project, is that Genesis moment when you actually distribute the token, right? So how fair is it? Who gets it? And that becomes really important. So we didn't want to arbitrarily make a decision to say, oh, like we carve out 5% or 10% or like whatever number that's used for funding public good. And also, we didn't really have a good mechanism at that time to decide who gets to make the decision of who gets funded, right? So all of these things become an interesting challenge when you're building a decentralized protocol. But so what we did instead is to say, we're going to start a live peer node, and this live peer node is going to take inflationary rewards, right? It's going to participate in the network just like any other live peer nodes, but it's going to take a bit, because the inflationary reward that a live peer that any node can get is customizable, right? So this node is going to take a much higher percentage of the inflation than other nodes, and in exchange, this node promises to fund public goods in the ecosystem using that inflation, right? Because in that mechanism, like the entire network is kind of funding public goods. So you have a much more fair kind of like funding source for these public goods funding, and over time, that's really panned out, right? Like the node now has a pretty significant budget. There's a committee of that runs the process of deciding who gets public good funding. We're even now passing in the process of doing a governance upgrade to set aside more retroactive funding pools that allows more people to participate, and kind of taking some lessons from some of the retroactive public goods funding mechanism from projects like Optimism, right? So that's just another example of how these tokens can be used in a very social way, or to improve the decentralization, improve the governance of the ecosystem, but ultimately improve the level of decentralization and and make it to kind of spread the ownership of the protocol more to the right people, so that the project itself has a better chance of succeeding.
Awesome. Yeah, I think this has been something which, Eric, we have been taking a lot of cues on while even developing the tokenomics of Huddle01 as well. So I think Sushmit, my co-founder, is here. He's not on stage here, but we have been taking a lot of iterations, both from the specs of live peer as well as on the Filecoin side. I think if Juan is here, Juan, if you can listen us, would love a thumbs up. And okay, nice. Yeah, I think Sachin, you can ask a question for Juan. Yeah.
Hey Juan, yeah, just like repeating the question. So we see like we have Noster, Farcaster, at Protocol, Masterdom, and several other protocols we built for the social graph and a singular digital identity. But like, do you foresee that like 10 years from now we have around let's say 20, 30 such protocols, and we have to again manage a decentralized singular identity across 30 different protocols? So right now, how do you foresee this developing?
Yeah, it's a good question, and let me know if you can't hear me or something.
Yeah, we can.
Great. It's a great question. Look, I think right now the community is experimenting with a lot of different networks. Like there are many different L1s, there are many different smart contract VMs, and that translates into even different identity providers and identity formats and so on, like many different wallets and whatnot. And my sense is that this period of exploration is both allowing the community to explore new constructions that could work really well, but is also unsustainable in that the complexity is just extremely high. And when you think about mainstream consumer products, you need to get to a level of quality and simplicity where billions of people around the world can interact with a product in a very easy and seamless way. I think here is we should be taking cues from companies like Apple in terms of the quality of the design and the quality of the experience of users onboarding into a thing. And so the community can't stay with the current structure. And so over time, it'll refine into a much higher quality set of products that provide that kind of user experience. Now, which products will that be? Which protocols? How will that work? That's kind of for us to figure out. And so kind of I see this exploration now as like good in terms of sampling a lot of the possibilities, but not as a good end state. Like you don't want to kind of create this structure where you have to spend many minutes figuring out and reasoning about the identity solution in some random app before you can like actually start using it. And in a sense, this is kind of a little bit the role of the browser. Back in the beginning of the browser invention and standardization efforts, it was sort of described as a user agent because it was meant to be this kind of like piece of software that was acting on behalf of the user to reason about a lot of their presence online. And unfortunately, browsers kind of primarily just focused on the ability to just look at pages and whatnot. But a lot of the experiments on more user agent behavior, like Mozilla Persona and other things like that, didn't quite pan out. And so now kind of wallets are taking on that role to some extent. So you see now things like MetaMask and others kind of becoming that user agent. When you think about mobile, this likely has to hit the OSs themselves. Like the current mobile landscape is highly centralized, and there's specific SDKs that require integration with the tools there. So either we get a better mobile infrastructure, or we kind of have to shoehorn the current structures into those formats. But either way, like we have to arrive at an extremely high quality user experience, and we'll get to that by just vastly simplifying what people have to figure out and do, without compromising or sacrificing on user sovereignty. At the end of the day, like we're building Web3 and we're building all of these technologies and systems to give people a better sovereignty over their data and a better sovereignty over their applications and the economic value flows that those applications represent. And I am confident we can do that without sacrificing user experience. It just, it's hard work for us to figure out how to do it. But this is where I think it's a great opportunity for designers, for like great product designers, to experiment with how to make this kind of thing simple and easy and so on. And just remember that like every single piece of software that people have built over time that feels really simple today actually took a ton of time and effort to get to that simplicity. Things like many platforms took many years and a ton of thought and effort to get to the refinement of simplicity that suddenly becomes intuitive, right? Intuitive is not easy to get to. It's a lot of hard design work to get there, and we just kind of need to go through that phase. And so I'm really excited about products and applications like Huddle that bring us closer to that landscape, to things that enable us to experiment with those user experience components to try and kind of improve what that looks like.
Great answer, man. Definitely, I think it's important to like keep the objective in mind, and then you kind of progressively go towards that. Um,
Yeah, I think just on that, I had a follow-up question. I think one, you have been also a part of. I think Protocol Labs has given, like I'll say, a very good nurturing ground to a lot of these generally the startups, be it from like the Techion to GPC to Long Hash to Techstars to every place. Have you also been seeing a trend one where the Web3 social apps, are you seeing some consumer dApps getting built at a more faster rate as compared to, let's suppose, 2020, 2021 versus 2023? Are you seeing a different, like a more consumer focused specificity while Protocol Labs supports all the accelerators? Are you seeing more of that trend?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we are definitely seeing a lot more consumer applications now than we did, say, 3 years ago or 4 years ago. Probably between now and say a year ago, and definitely crypto summer and crypto winter are, in the cycle are kind of similar in that probably the same amount of distribution of people going into consumer applications is happening now versus say 2021, but definitely a lot more than 2019 or 2018. I think we're getting a lot closer. We're still kind of far though. Like today, most crypto and Web3 applications touch maybe 10 to 100 million users, and we're not yet at the billion user scale, and we really need to get there, right? So we have to, and this is why I'm really excited about consumer applications, because you need to get extremely good products that everybody will use because of the quality of the product, not because of the decentralization aspect or something like that, to then kind of like get to that mass market thing. It just, again, the onboarding and the on-ramp has to be extremely smooth and easy. Just the friction has to be very, very low. Just think of, a good test for this might be to try and onboard users in the street or something like that, or even through like ads online or something like that, and just look at the conversion rates. If the conversion rate looks a lot worse than traditional consumer products, then we're not yet there.
Got it. Yeah, thanks, Juan. I think just following on this trail itself and asking to Gabriel, I think, Gabriel, please, if you can hear me, a question to you was more on the lines. I just want to say, everyone, that I think it's because Huddle, the first time in Huddle actually it took birth was during the Techion Accelerator, which Gabriel was heading. And was powered by Protocol Labs Filecoin in general, and that's where we started building our first product, did customer discovery, started talking to more customers in general, and we were a couple of consumer products in the whole ecosystem of the during the 2020 era. So I think, Gabe, the question for you is that right now at GPC itself, I know that new cohort has started now. Congrats on that. What kind of apps or founders are you seeing? Is it more consumer focused again, or are you seeing more kind of infrastructure built so far? And what kind of consumer apps are you seeing getting built right now? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, congrats guys on this product. It's really good. I'm like walking around New York City right now, and yeah, it's like a really seamless, beautiful product. So job well done to the Huddle01 team. Very, very excited about this. I think, so to answer your question directly, yeah, we've got 10 companies in the spring cohort of Graph Paper Capital. 3 of them are actually consumer applications, consumer facing companies. And it's funny, we literally had a session around go-to-market, customer discovery for Web3 specific consumer applications. And the thing that we really try to hone in on with the companies that are building consumer applications, I think a lot of this will kind of resonate with what Juan was just saying. You've got to find your attack vector, right? So in the early stages of going to market, especially for a crypto consumer application, you can probably get customers or users in the crypto space who, one, like your product is probably new and novel. Two, most crypto customers already have a pretty high threshold for pain when it comes to UX. And so they're willing to like go through it with you because three, your product is mission aligned. You're aligned with like the values that we share as builders within the crypto space. But like, you know, the classic crossing the chasm, you know, in terms of like, how do you get to products that are for mass adoption? That's only going to get you so far. And in fact, I think it's extremely hard for consumer crypto companies right now, because my experience is that users are willing to experiment and go through really bad UX during bull markets, because right, we're all making money, if tokens go up, wag me, everybody feels good about things, and so like, it's a price to pay. You know, if your application you know, is not quite up to par. In bear markets, people's tolerance for their threshold for pain and tolerance for bad UX goes down substantially. At least this has been my my experience. Now, the great thing for, you know, for those of us building consumer applications in the crypto space is it really forces you as a builder to sharpen your user experience, to sharpen your product, to sharpen your go-to-market, and get it onto parity with, at least feature parity with what we have come to expect in terms of like the quality of the UX of the product in Web 2. And so like for us, the thing that we really try to focus on and hone in on, I think it's what we saw with you guys when we first met you. Back then, you guys were Cadbury, you know, shout out Cadbury. So this is pre Huddle01. I think the thing that we look for is, can we find a feature or a nugget in that business where there is a 10x compelling attack vector that like it's a new and novel mechanism or feature that just can't be done in Web 2 because of the limitation of centralization or the rails or what have you. And so, you know, like I'm very excited about the companies that we have back in this cohort. We haven't publicly announced any of them. Their demo day will be September 9th, but there are some really amazing new and novel consumer applications that the founders in the spring 23 GPC cohort are building. So like, you know, CrowdMuse is an example. They're building a marketplace of digi-physical goods where your merch can be represented by an NFT, an online digital you know, representation of your physical product. But it also allows for multiple content creators or multiple creators to come together. So whether it's a new and emerging brand that wants to crowdsource, you know, talent or crowdsource distribution from a network like, you know, SheFi or HerDAO and all the people who, you know, are highly supportive of that ecosystem, they can now come together and pull their resources together to launch a co-created brand. You know, because of the composability of on-chain primitives, you know, and because of the, you know, the ability to compose different pieces together, that's something that you can't do in Web 2 very easily natively. So we look for features where we think, hey, you know, it might take a few cycles, a few innovation cycles for this product to get to like a truly compelling mass adoption product, but there's a really interesting attack vector that cannot be done within Web 2, that can only be done natively in crypto and Web 3. Again, you're most likely going to go to market with your early adopters. Those of us who will ape into any new product because, like, you know, WAGMI and also, oh, this is really cool. But new and novel will only get you so far. I think the other key part there is that as you go to market as a crypto consumer application, your innovation cycle needs to speed up. Because your early adopters they'll sit with you for a little bit, but you need to be releasing, you need to be, you know, moving quickly and improving the user experience over time. Now, there's some things that just, you know, because of the nature of the infrastructure, you know, there's not a lot that you can do about, but the things that you are in control of, you need to really be innovating fast. And that's the other thing that I think we really press on, you know, companies like yourselves, is the speed of your innovation really matters to move past that early adopter phase. And so like we're seeing that with the consumer applications in this cohort. We have three that I'm really excited about. CrowdMuse, which I just mentioned, which is a really great example. Enso Collective is another amazing team It's really building at the intersections of social and micro influencer marketing. So again, like, being able to pull together or crowdsource resources, distribution across the spectrum because of the composability of the stack is a really interesting, it's a new and novel feature that's only doable on crypto rails, but it's a really fascinating attack vector. And I think that's another one that we're really excited about. But I think we're excited about all the companies within this batch. But hopefully that's helpful. It's kind of how I think about how crypto native consumer applications should think about your go-to-market, think about your distribution. Is find that wedge in the marketplace, find that attack vector, and then move through your innovation cycle really fast. I think that's hugely important.
Wow, that was an amazing answer. Like so many gems were just layered in that response. And you mentioned a few of my friends. Like my friends work on Enzo Collective, so that's really cool to hear. You mentioned and wow, I was not expecting that. But yeah, really great answer. Thank you so much. And to sort of like pivot off of what he just said, in terms of new and novel will only get you so far. I would love to circle back to you, Ryan. At earlier in the conversation, I spoke about how threads is new, it's the hip new thing. Like everyone's talking about it, everyone's engaging on it, everyone's, like that's all the rage, right? They got 100 million users in 5 days. And I think, even being new, and even though I feel like Mark is very experienced, obviously, in the social media space, will it be enough to sustain such a new platform growth wise? Like, do you think we're headed in the right direction when we talk about threads, when we talk about Mastodon, when we talk about ActivityPub, or just like what are your feelings on the recent activity that happened with threads and such?
That's a great question. I happened to work at Instagram a couple years ago, 6-7 years ago, and Thread was actually built by my team back then. So I had some inner chat with the team. Well, I feel like it's not really about. I think they're not really using any new design paradigms. They're basically just trying to take away what Twitter has been doing and try to do it better. They are definitely trying the Fediverse, the ActivityPub. Those are super interesting. But however, I think Web3 provides a different design paradigm. That's just the ownership part of the user data, the monetization. Those were not really available to those companies. I excuse me. I feel like they might really excel at building better product on the user experience level, on the client level, but end of the day, it's still the same similar feeling as like another Twitter. Whereas in Web3, in decentralized social, we've seen a lot of successes on user owning their profiles, user owning their monetization channel, owning their audience, as well as like powering how users are discovering other projects that's been built with this new design paradigm. And for us on Link3, on CyberConnect, we've been seeing a lot of users discovering new projects through the network that we have. Those were not really available to the toolkits that the Threads team or the traditional Web2 teams have. But however, I think it's definitely a great step if they're taking seriously the ActivityPub or Fediverse approach. Yep.
Interesting. Yeah. And I kind of want to like jump from what you just said and sort of like put this question over to Avi, who's also at CyberConnect. As the head of marketing, like, what is your take on this? How do you feel in terms of going to market strategy and like what's going on at Threads? What's going on with you all at CyberConnect as well as like Link3 and how you can optimize this connect and your other brands?
Hey there, thanks so much, and it's so nice having seeing everybody's familiar faces here. Congrats to the Huddle team. I was just texting the rest of the team members about very impressive that it's working well. And I think especially running Link3 for the past 10, 11 months, and being maybe the place for the most number or the largest Twitter spaces in crypto Twitter through Link3. We've definitely seen the struggles with Twitter spaces firsthand. I think I have a huge community of people now who are coming to us on a daily basis about how their engagement with Twitter Spaces is not being recorded well, or they're facing struggles with all sorts of stuff that has to do with Twitter API. So I think this having Huddle Spaces available to the Web3 community is going to be a major value add, and I really hope that more and more people get to try it. To your question about go-to-market strategy, running Link3 and sort of threads and Twitter, I mean, first of all, there's all sorts of opinions out there about threads and Twitter, and obviously it's too early to say how threads will end up. But I think we've all sort of almost all the people here on the panel have tried building a consumer-facing application and have sort of experienced firsthand that it's more than just building the product. It's more than just shipping out the features. There's a real sort of behavioral thing there that's happening, especially with something like threads. I think the sort of the migration from Instagram is a bit tricky, and it remains to be seen how that will turn out. I personally am not using it after the first few days, so that sort of adrenaline has gone down, and I suspect that's the case with a lot of people. And that's part of the reason why we have taken a bit of a different approach at CyberConnect than some of the other players in the social network, sort of Web3 social network space. It's really hard to build, a Twitter clone or an Instagram clone or a TikTok clone and sort of incentivize, the users to sort of switch. That the cost to switch is really high for them. And unless it offers a very, very unique primitive, unless it offers a very unique rush or a high, for that matter, it's just that learning curve is just too steep. And so with Link3, obviously we're nowhere near sort of trying to perfect it, but we're constantly testing out new things and seeing what sticks. But I think somewhere we've found a niche where we've become this platform with Link3 where organizations come to connect with their communities and build larger communities, and users come to discover new communities. Now, this is obviously specific to the crypto Twitter right now, or sort of the Web3 community, but I think there's a lot of potential there. If you look at the sort of the vertical of professional networking, if you look at the vertical of publishing, we also just launched Link3 events. Offline feature, which was sort of soft launch and tested with the organizers at IVS Kyoto and GM Vietnam, and we received some really good feedback there, and sort of trying to catch up with the inefficiencies or the sort of the limitations of platforms like Luma and Eventbrite. I think those markets in and itself are big enough for a product to reach market fit, and there's a lot of sort of surface to be scratched there. So yeah, it totally depends on sort of trying different things and seeing what sticks. But with Link3, at least, our goal remains to really sort of keep our ears to the ground and talk to the community, ask them what they want, and also work with a bunch of partners. I think Huddle and Link3, definitely there's a very good synergy there, and I hope that we can explore that soon and bring Huddle to the 900,000 monthly active users on Link3, and I think more of these sort of interoperable, more of these sort of collaborations will continue to happen, as Mo and Butterfly and Huddle are seeing, and it's just an exciting time.
Yeah, amazing answer. Like, thank you so much. I'm going to pass it over to my co-host Sachin in a second, but I just wanted to say you're doing a really great job with your community. Like, I can't remember what we posted on Link3, But I got on Twitter and I just kept seeing like people sharing it. It's like they watched it on Link3 or viewed it on Link3 or something. And I was like, what is Link3? This is how I found out about you all. And I was like, wow, they have a massive community and like massive audience on there. So if we did end up working with you all, I would absolutely love that. But thank you. Over to you, Sachin.
Hey. Yeah, Bobby, if you're there, I wanted to ask a question to you. And I think Dust Lab just did something crazy after launching of DIDs. You combine two NFT communities that also tier one NFT communities into one Discord server. That's pretty cool. Uh, and yeah, wanted to know more about DIDs. I mean, how you're linking social profile to the DEIDs, if I'm pronouncing that right, as well as the NFTs. And I think up till now there has been decentralization in communities, but this can move forward with distribution of revenue, and that the brand collects is also not just decentralizing but also democratizing it in a way. Would love if you can shed more light into this, and how do you think like it will turn up, and what developments can be made around this?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think DID was like, I mean, very simple product identity solution, and like had three simple features. So for context, for everyone that isn't familiar, I mean, Dust Labs and D Labs, where I work, we own two NFT collections, DGods and Utes, and we also have our own token, Dust token. And so for us, as kind of pioneers in pushing to like forward NFT communities and infrastructure and tooling for NFT communities, identity is the major part of it. I mean, a big part of a community is knowing who else is in that community, being able to communicate, and that happens through the medium of Discord today. And there's a lot of tools around this. There's, I mean, a ton of Discord bots, Telegram bots. Guild is a great example of a tool that allows you to now gate and like create communities. But there needs to be an identity solution around all of this. Today, that identity happens on Twitter. People upload their Hexagon NFTs. They're proven as like that, but not everyone wants to pay the monthly fee. And so when we were kind of looking at the landscape of like, oh, what identity solution should we bring on? We were kind of trying to figure out where we could drive the most value. I think the biggest issue with a lot of the tooling out there right now is everything is so complex. There's so many things. Not everything has clear value attached to it. So when we went to scope out what our DID system would be, we were like, okay, what are things that we can provide value? Our community loves Twitter. Our community has a Discord. And then our community wants to be more protected and safer with delegated wallets. And I think as a part of that, we also have an ordinals community with Bitcoin. And so we're like, okay, how can we kind of loop them in? Because as of today, they weren't included in our Discords as all. Dust holders weren't included in our Discord as well. And it's also hard to manage so many different mediums on so many different platforms. So we launched DID with three simple features: a Twitter authentication, a Discord authentication, and multiple wallet linking to have delegated voting with Ordinal support, Ethereum support, and Polygon support. Soon we're going to add on a few other chains in the OP ecosystem as well as Solana. But for now, like, we wanted to drive kind of a simple identity solution. We adopted ENS as our naming solution, as well as Twitter handles. And so that's where people identify people today in our community. And so we didn't want to reinvent the wheel with anything that we were doing and have our own naming convention or anything like that. So we launched DID. It was a huge success in terms of people talking about it on Twitter, using now whoever DGods at DGods on Twitter follows on Twitter are all verified holders. And so that was a huge component to it. And we essentially launched three features that all had a use case. And so our adoption was close to 80%. So, I mean, for on-chain communities, I think 80% is quite a high number. And we're now just looking to push like what other features, what other benefits do people want? All of this is to say that we're going to push this towards a decentralized did kind of framework. But right now it's fully centralized. And the goal is to scale it, add in all the core features that we want. Upcoming is a Telegram integration for notifications and token gating Telegram groups. We're also looking at adding kind of some type of unstoppable naming service in there as well, kind of undecided there. But every time we launch a new product, every time we launch a new feature, the goal is to have a very high utility attached to it so that the percentage of people that convert over is pretty high. And then soon we're going to launch member directories and all of these kind of secondary toolings using our SDK that will be available for the public to kind of adopt this DID system. I don't think it's anything crazy out of the box. I think it's very similar to other did systems. It's just very much focused for NFT communities and like providing direct value with every feature and every kind of ask that we have for the user. Where we take that can be a lot of different places. We've been talking to some top marketplaces about adopting it. We've been talking to Delegate Cash and a few other like infrastructure teams on seeing how we can contribute to their like pool, their protocols as well. And yeah, I think, I mean, it's just a starting place. And for us, we're getting a ton of feedback daily on it, talking to more teams and even including Huddle itself and maybe integrating it here. But yeah, I'm curious if there's any questions about that or like what are your thoughts or ideas around that?
Yep, and I think you just dropped an alpha as well to all the listeners that Huddle01 integration is coming.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see how. We're not right. Like for us, like I think for us, we want as many people to adopt it as possible. If it makes sense, it makes sense, and we're not trying to compete here. Like we're not gonna have our own social graph like Lens or Farcaster. We might integrate Lens and Farcaster. These are all ideas, but there needs to be a compelling reason why. Like even for you guys, right? Like why should that be adopted? Oh, great! Like maybe people can get an email update every time there's a new space then they're involved in, or if there's a token gated chat for DGOD holders, they get a notification to Telegram. Like now there's actual utility, there's actual use case, so there's an actual reason to roll it out. I mean, if people are familiar with the DGODs community, there's so many things happening in our community that like we can't really prioritize things if there's not really a launch or a go-to-market that's attached to it. And I think that's what we do really well is to make sure that every launch that we have has a strong go-to-market attached to it.
Yeah, bro. I mean, that's awesome. Definitely taking a utility first approach with all the integrations. I think that's the kind of attitude NFT ecosystem requires right now.
Mhm.
Yep. Thanks a lot for answering and shedding more light on the Huddle01 and the DGODs in general. Uh, would love to bring Parang on stage if he's here. Can you give me a thumbs up?
I think Parag is not here right now.
Uh, no worries. But yeah, what Chandresh, if you are here, uh, since we are on the question of having NFTs and social profiling on the ecosystem, so just wanted to know what's the approach of layer ones, because before this, largely we saw that the key metric of every layer one was the DeFi TVL, and that's how you kind of you can say analyze the layer one. But now with social decentralized social media coming up, do you think that would be a key metric, and how are layer ones approaching that to create the larger ecosystem on the layer one?
True. I think since the last few years, DeFi, I think last 4 years since 2017, DeFi has been talk of the town, and it has had the most TVL. And only recently, and even though NFTs were still again talk of the towns in the last 2 years, I have started noticing early in 2023, where I think the Web3 social has started picking up, and NFTs have started. Even though we are in bear market right now, there are several I would say some products and several new use cases that are coming up for NFTs that are basically coming up in bear market. So it's great to see that as I think as and when more utility comes to the NFTs, the market will increase and it will have more value. And just like how DeFi created so many use cases, and as long as NFT keep on creating its use cases, it will keep on adding more value to itself. And maybe in the next 5 years, we won't just look at any L1 or L2 or any blockchain. We won't just look at their DeFi TVL. And if we do a pie chart, maybe DeFi is 20% and NFTs is 10%. And like maybe we see more things coming up. Like we have been seeing that gaming is coming up, and So we just hope to see that there are different things available on the pie chart, just like how today in a centralized world we don't see just finance products. We see every single thing that is available, whether it's social media, it's news, or it's YouTube. So we see on music, we see so many things going on. So hopefully in the next 5 years, when we look at TVL of any protocol or any layer one or layer two solution, we see a lot more than just DeFi.
Yeah, I think thanks, Chandresh, for answering that. I think now, since we are also almost at time, I just had one more question, I think, and feel free for anyone to answer that. And I think anyone who wants to raise their hands and can ask any question to Ryan, Mo, Ali, Chandresh, please feel free to do that. But yeah, I think we are at the mark of 1 hour. But I think Ryan, one thing which, since we have met in SF, post that. In the world of, like, I see where a couple of like decentralized social networks which are coming up and popping up. I think CyberConnect has been there for a long time now. Like, it's been, I think, one of the oldest ones. I wanted to understand your philosophy behind it in general. When did you start off? What was the philosophy behind? And yeah, right now where you are at? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. My the team's background has been working on social in Web 2 and Web 3 for a very long time now, almost 10 years now. We have digged into the creator side of it. We have digged into just like the social, the Twitter like, or the Snapchat likes part of it in our previous adventures. All of them are most of them are very successful, getting a couple exits from the whole team. However, when we were doing CyberConnect, we wanted to take this as a on to do it right, or like to make all the infrastructure right based on all the learnings that we have had before. We've seen a lot of ups and downs with any kind of social application, no matter what technology it's based on. All kind of social apps come and go very easily. So that's why we are a little bit hesitant on building something on the application side that's like super catchy and trying to get all the users sign up, but without really clear vision of how the retention will look like. And CyberConnect started as a more constrained approach where we try to do all this data storage, the data ownership right. Now, as we're talking about this, we are launching our V3 of the protocol next very soon. We're probably going to announce it tomorrow. We've been grinding CyberConnect for almost 2.5 years now. For like, a lot has changed since our first iteration. But my point is, we want to build something that feels right instead of that's super viral, or that's like everyone can try out but doesn't know what to really do with it. So CyberConnect is now expanding to different networks, trying to support more projects. On the Link3 side, it's always been a professional social network first, that can provide the unique value adds for different projects to either build their community or for anyone to reach out to the partners, to establish partnerships with the other projects. Yeah, I think that's our philosophy behind everything that we do at CyberConnect. Just trying to build everything that's right, and building something that people actually use on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, we're super happy to see Huddle01 get into like launching the space. We're extremely excited to dig into the product side to really support Huddle01 on Link3. It's only the bandwidth, about the bandwidth, as we're launching V3 very soon as well. But yeah, super excited to be here with you guys.
Thanks, Ryan. I think Ali has a point to make, I think, from Favor. Yeah, hi Ali. Yeah.
Hey, GM again. So basically, it would be nice, we discussed before that subject about the Link3 events on Huddle. So, we have an amazing community calls on, we are doing that on the Discord side, but it would be nice when we start on the Huddle platform, because, we love to give our people the best, and it's on the way to make it on Discord until now. But when you cook for us, it will be nice. Until now, you probably Ryan know our how we have power on the Link3 parts. So most of the people just like REST because they will be able to connect those assets on Favor as a part of a CRED system. So I'm looking forward to that update.
Thanks so much for the Ali. I think looking forward to the overall integrations in general, and looking forward to make the space much more. I'll say. I think composability. I think Shane has left right now, but I wanted to just congratulate Shane. I think for the awesome work which they have done. So people who have not seen it, the kind of stuff which has happened on wallet to wallet messaging with Coinbase and integration with the overall thing which has been built so far. It's really fascinating because XMTP and the partner integration with Coinbase takes a lot of time in general. It's a proper due diligence process which happens, and because of that, now a very good line which has been, I think, coined by one of the terms by the XMTP team as well was, I think conversations can become as important as like the assets in general. Owning conversation could become as important as owning assets. This is absolutely true, which I believe. And I think that's the kind of thing which we are seeing a lot, which will start happening. Yeah, I think Chandrish, any closing thoughts on your end?
Yes, I was going to say something else, but I'll come to that before. But you just ended you were trying to say that conversation will become as important as assets. The thing is, they always were. We just never paid attention to it. Just like our funds were always important. And I think there are way many more things that people are finding out, that our identities, our social graphs, everything has always been important. It's just that we never thought that we could have the power to own it, and which is what decentralization and blockchain is kind of waking up everyone. So it's great to see that. And what I wanted to do is congratulate you again, the whole Huddle01 team, to launch Spaces and also get it launched on Butterfly. I want to see it on Favor and or Ben's, like so many other spaces, so many other clients, which will be amazing. Like I've been looking at Dan is encouraging Farcaster developers to build it on Farcaster as well. So it more and more Web3 decentralized social build spaces, that would be such an amazing thing, because till now our focus I have seen has been on replicating Twitter, where not I would say exactly, but kind of like providing a text messaging platform for everyone, with also obviously few more features that Web2 doesn't have. And one of the big missing piece was Spaces. Like I would always open it, and but at the end of the day I would have to come to Twitter for Spaces, and I detest it as much as I like. We have been hosting Spaces for all this while on Twitter. I see the so many times we have to create new links. People are not able to hear themselves, and it's again, so it has been so annoying. It doesn't work on web. You always need it on your phone, so there's so many issues with it. It's just that we never had an alternative, and so great to see that the alternative is now available. Like I have been craving Spaces for Web3 for so long, so I'll be amazed to see it on Favor or and all the other clients that exist on Web3 social.
Thank you so much, Chandresh, for the kind words. And yeah, that's the kind of aim. And I think Favor Ali, I think they have also now put this into their sprint cycle as well. So I think we'll really want to see there a lot of Favor spaces, Butterfly spaces, or spaces, and also on Shardim as well. What all things that are getting built? A lot of socials. Would love to provide the toolkits on that. I think with that, any of the questions which I think people are answering there in the chat itself. But I think Tak, would you want to just maybe have some ending thoughts and then close the session for everyone? Thank you, everyone, from my side as well. It has been a pleasure hosting you. Pleasure. Thanks to all the speakers here. And yeah, and kudos to the development team, the product team of Huddle01 as well. It's a fantastic, grandiose effort. Thanks to the marketing team, the distribution team, the growth team, the content team. Anyone who I've missed, thank you so much. This has been a grandiose effort, and thank you everyone who has joined in. 200 plus people here. it means a lot. This means that how Web3 is so much supportive in general on whatever you try to build, and it took a lot of bravery to to launch this on a public doing a public testing of it of more than 250 people, because the tech behind it, it took a lot of sweat, blood, and tears for the development team to do that. So yeah, with that, again, thank you so much. Meet you all soon, again on the spaces. Tak, me, Sachin will be keeping on hosting the spaces on Huddle, on Favor, on Orb, on Butterfly, and yeah, that's about it. Tak, over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off that and just thank the team. Like I feel so blessed and lucky to be a part of this team, and I'm learning so much. And this is only my third month here, and I haven't even begun digging into the technical side yet because I'm not just community guys, I'm tech too. But yeah, I just wanted to thank the team. This was amazing. I'm so happy. I'm so happy you all came and joined in with us and just celebrated with us the launch of the spaces. And so if you enjoyed the conversation, please share on your Linster or Lens in general, share on Twitter. We're going to be posting the recording as well. So you can check out, like, if you missed anything or you want to revisit anything, you can come back and sort of rewatch and watch as many times as you like. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart. And also, as well, if you are a early huddler in the space, don't forget that we have a merch pack. If you do a Twitter thread on your favorite moments, what you like, what you hated, what opinions you disagree with, whatever it is, we welcome your opinions as well. So yeah, just thank you. But we look like we have someone want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Hello, good day, everyone.
Good
Hey,
day.
hi.
I'm Anas Mohammed Suleiman. I'm listening from Nigeria. I really am grateful to join this space, and I'm really glad to be part of this launch. I really appreciate all the hard work of the team, and may God make it a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I saw your raise hand before as well. Thank you so much for the kind words. It means a lot. If you have any questions, would love to answer that as well. But thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for waiting patiently for so long. And yeah, these words mean a lot to our team and to everyone who's joined in.
You are welcome. Thank you very much. I really don't have a question from for now, but maybe later on when there is another space of this kind, then maybe I might get one or two questions.
Yeah, awesome, cool. I think this is great. I just wanted to just shout out to one more team here. I think the I think Webhub from the Sockley team is here. They have been building for the last 2 years as well. They are also the ones who are launching Huddle Spaces. Like their Sockley is launching their own Sockley Spaces powered by Huddle01 SDKs. You should check it out. They are launching their own app as well. I think it's one of the most fantastic building team which I have seen for a long time now. Very persistent. So yeah, I think we have plethora of apps now who are powered by Huddle01's audio SDKs, and we'll be having a composable kind of chat there, using our NFTs from here and there, using something like XMT for the chat, and having a very good time, and using something like live peer to live stream that to multiple places. I think it's a fantastic time to live in. So yeah, I think next week they're also launching. So congrats, Faber, for that, and feel free to check it out. I would love to retweet from our account as well. Yeah, I think
Okay,
that's about.
looking forward to launching.